Hello and happy Tuesday, everybody. Adam calling in here from the dark magical forest. As we can see, we've got Chris.
Parts unknown, bro. It's hot, bro. I am literally dripping sweat right now. When I was growing up, I was like, I always want to live in the trop. I want to live in the Caribbean. I want to live on an island. Man, now I'm like, bro, I want to live in a nice, temperate, cool city, bro. It's like times change, man.
Times have changed. I mean,
nice.
Looks nice, feels beautiful. One day maybe we'll go and visit down there. But what hasn't changed are the velocity of migrations and the migration squeeze. Today, it was kind of funny. I was messaging one of the Unicorn Core members, and I was like, usually a migration squeeze happens in the last 48 hours, not the first 48 hours. The UWU token has gone, since they announced their migration, it's gone from, I think it was, let's say 26th. So they announced the migration was 600K. Now it's over 2 million. Over 2 million, and continuing to grind. They just about to cross 50% migrated in the first 72 hours. Unicorns are ready to migrate. The squeeze is squeezing. And also the Bobo community is continuing to grind as well. That chart is doing really well. As posted today, somebody was showcasing the Bobo vault with 3,000 Solana in it and 47% of the Bobo supply. So 53% of the Bobo supply has been claimed already. Goes live trading on Mexi tomorrow. Elbing started their trading, and the token I think is around like $15 million market cap. Many people are beginning to understand why to migrate. It just gives teams capital. It gives them tokens, gives them treasury, gives them attention. Just lots of positive things to do. Look how far we've come in the last almost year. July will be a year since we first launched the first Migrate Fund V1. And then I think it was like a few months later when we got the first kind of real FUD campaign wave. And man, how terribly wrong they were.
I mean, we think about it, that big first FUD was basically because teams were migrating away from pump, right? And so all the pump KOLs were just like, this is bullshit. This is, destroying communities and tokens. And now everybody's moving to pump and they are silent. They are happy as a clam. So I don't know. It's funny how times change, man.
That it really does. But everyone's on board now. We'll be adding a few new Launchpad integrations here over the next few weeks, as well as talking with some interesting migration teams as well. Some small ones and some pretty large ones as well. It seems like step by step, each team understands the migration. One of the unicorn teams, they were like, man, if this squeeze keeps happening, then I think everyone's going to migrate. And I was like, well, the funny thing is that this is definitely not the first time this has happened. This is like pretty common for communities that have pretty high and successful turnouts.
Yeah. I mean, what you get is you get more buyers coming. I mean, obviously that pump is not due to just, old holders. That's new holders coming in and being like, man, I want to partake in this. They saw what Bobo did. You just get teams. I mean, obviously they're super active on the timeline. Now that I'm connected with those guys, man, Unicorn's super active on the timeline. And so, people just want number to go up and they're looking for reasons. And obviously the attention is right now, being able to grab attention in this climate is it's great. And really difficult to do. And obviously migrations just provide that catalyst, which can kind of, not only unite teams, but unite their community with them and just kind of wake up on the timeline again. And when that red candle hits, we all know that red candle wakes up the rest of your community. And so very attractive from a team perspective, obviously, and very attractive from it's just this aligned incentives thing, right? It aligns the team with the community. Everybody just wants number to go up, and they're just a bunch of bullish factors to migrations to make it happen. What are you thinking, Chris?
Yeah, man, I think the unicorn migration right here is pretty explosive. I think it's in a unique situation where I had like 3 of their community members reach out and say, I had some of my tokens on this old website that was deprecated and things of that nature. So it seems like there's maybe 50% outstanding supply of the available float, but it seems like a lot of that is lost. So in the hands of just unaccessible tokens that will eventually go back to the team treasury. But I mean, there might be 20 or 30% outstanding supply that's available in the float. So 8 days left to migrate. I think that that's a recipe for a crazy move up. And I think as that token price goes up, I think more eyes are going to be on these migrations. We just had the Bobo migration that was wildly successful. They still have hundreds of thousands of dollars, like Jake said, in ammo to kind of control the floor and have the plunge protection team show up in case they're needed. And it looks like Unicorn's going to have basically the exact same scenario. Yeah. So I commented under Adam's post, bull market migrations hit different. I think you're going to start to see a totally different attitude towards migrations as these really start to accelerate.
Yeah. The Unicorn migration, you could kind of expect like a blow off the top situation. Like Mitchie went 10x in the last 48 hours or so. You could see something like this. It's right now, UU is the #1 trending coin on Bird Eye.
Wow.
Number one trending. Remember when we did the War migration? War was the #1 trending coin in crypto at the time during the migration.
Do you know how much that is worth to be the #1 trending coin on Bird Eye? Like you can't buy that with real money. It's, that's the best marketing that you can have is the #1 trending token. And they've done it solely by migrating, while at the end of it, they'll get an increased team treasury, they'll get creator rewards, and then they'll get the unmigrated supply. I mean, and plus all the attention. I mean, this is like an unreal catalyst. And I think more people are starting to catch on.
It's just funny when we talk to, Jake and I talk to teams, and I mean, we should have kept track because it's probably 500 teams at this point. Or
I have a spreadsheet.
Oh,
with most of them. Sometimes we get too busy. I forget to write some of them down, but it is, I have 2 full folders on Telegram with just migrate fun chats. And I almost in each, there's a max capacity on Telegram for 200 chats per folder. And I'm almost
most people do not bump up against that, bro.
I'm almost at capacity for the second migration one.
Dude, I'm literally I've had to move, originally I started with like pump folders, and then bonk folders. And it was like that pump folder hit its max so fast that I just did like a general pump. And then I'm on my second pump folder now. It's absolutely bonkers. But I was just going to say, it's kind of funny too, though. And big teams, smart teams, they recognize it immediately. They need very little kind of hand holding as to why. They get the why. They just want to make sure it's going to go off smoothly. But it's funny, these small teams, like literally with like 300K or 30K market caps, are like, well, you got to convince me that this is a good idea. It's like, bro, I don't need to convince anything, bro. If you can't see what's happening on the timeline, I got no help for you. It's like, we got Lambos here. You either want one or you don't, and that's just the way it is. It's literally the easiest sale for smart teams. It's the easiest sale. I've been a salesman my whole life. This is the easiest sale I've ever had to make on anything ever. It's like free money, free tokens, renewed attention. Like if you don't get it, get the fuck out. Like seriously, it's incredible though. What a fucking winning product. I just holy shit, what a winning product, man.
Chris sold his real estate company before, so he knows the business that the average family size homes are generally much harder to sell than the luxury homes are.
It's anything in high ticket sales. Anyone with money, anyone with success recognizes the time value of money. They recognize the benefits to them. They've already done their research. They come, they buy the product. Anyone that's never made any money, that doesn't have any track record or experience, they want to be convinced. Well, you have to do the convincing. I'm not here to convince you. You can see the results. You can see the track record. And, I always lean on, even if the status quo of market cap or whatever it might be, maybe, there isn't some magnificent pump at the end of the migration, the team and the community are in 100x better position than they were pre-migration. They have creator rewards. They have access to a new team treasury, and they have the unmigrated supply that will eventually, after the 90-day lockup, go to the team treasury. And then on top of that, you have the biggest attention event since the original launch of the token. So it's a relaunch while keeping the same community and increasing the size with new participants. So Adam said it. It's really a win on all sides. It's the easiest sell that I've ever seen. There's really no losers here. Anyone that's paying attention has more than enough time to make the move to migrate their tokens and to participate in everything that's going on the timeline. I mean, we're in the attention economy, and this is the best way to obtain attention. Unicorn, the #1 trending token on Bird Eye,
Amazing.
solely because of the migration. You can't buy that type of exposure. It's amazing to see.
It's so amazing. And teams will be like, well, what about, those people who don't want to migrate? They want us to. And I'm like, there's one simple solution to those people. They sell their tokens. They leave the community. They're out. I mean, it's literally the easiest thing on earth. You, in a tenth of a second, you can completely be out. If you don't trust the team, you don't trust the migration process, you don't think it's bullish, you want to stick with the old token, just sell, dude. You're done. And, you can buy, way cheaper later because this shit's going to zero. You'll be able to buy all you want, So, yeah, it's funny how that works. But, yeah, most people, the smart people, they get it immediately. And I think the timeline is finally waking up. The inflows over the last week have been pretty insane. And I think it's only going to get more so.
Yeah, we had a pretty popular project reach out. They have 25 exchange listings. So I think that's generally the biggest hurdle now is I think on-chain migration is generally pretty accepted now, although people are still learning about it. We talked with the team yesterday they sent us the most non-issue questions ever from their community. They're like, well, what if we claim the LP and it's a tax event to then relaunch and now we have 2 tax events? And yeah, they're like, it's always, what if people don't migrate? What if they sell? It's like, well, then they leave. They could sell anyways. Like it's, but the hardest part now is getting the exchanges and the integration partners and stuff on page. We want to build this like automated exchange process. So you got to get a few strong exchange partners for that. We do have relationships with all of them, but with exchanges, it's really like a boys club. It's monkey see, monkey do. Nobody participates until somebody does. So you have this chicken or the egg situation. Is how do you get the first one through the door? And then once the first one does it, then literally they all follow within seconds. It's crazy how they all tail each other.
Unless you've been through it, you really don't understand. Like an exchange will not do anything until they see a post from an exchange that's maybe smaller or lower, or of course higher. But another exchange has to basically put out the tweet, we will be supporting the Bobo migration, for the next exchange to do it. They're like literally like, send us the post from another exchange saying they're accepting. It's crazy to see. You'd think they would be completely disconnected, but it is this kind of like, I'm assuming it's just bureaucratic cover your ass type stuff, but they actually need it. It's funny. So you got to kind of convince the first smallest fish to be through the door first. But that hasn't actually been that hard, but it is wild to watch.
Yeah. Shout out to Mexi. Great partners.
Amazing.
They've been really incredible so far, believing in migrations. There's a lot of other ones, but specifically highlight them. They're very awesome.
And, the cool thing about migrations is that the token environment is so dynamic. We had a team that we were working pretty close with that was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It was pretty interested in migrating. Well, things went south. Now it's worth, tens of millions of dollars. Maybe it wasn't the right time to migrate then, but maybe it's more the time to migrate now because maybe they need to restart their attention economy. And in the same vein that maybe, war was, 30, 40 million, 50 million. It was hot. It was like, we need to migrate ASAP. So these tokens are always revolving. They're always changing place in terms of market cap and liquidity. And everyone's always looking for another attention event. So, between the Emblem Vault stack, we consider ourselves, the full life cycle of the token. No matter no matter how you start, we can always help get you to the next step. And, there's only going to be infinitely more tokens created over the next decades. And many, many more tokens are going to want to migrate. This is really just the beginning.
More agent launchpads, more ICM launchpads. Memes are still around, still hot, moving. The attention on my timeline is pretty crazy. The Clarity Act has passed the Senate. So something the market's been waiting for. Markets are up like 4% or so. Bitcoin's almost up to 82K or back to 82K. The Clarity Act advances the Senate Banking Committee 15-9. It's pretty good, actually. So now it has to go to the full Senate to be approved. I believe they need a handful of Democrats. I don't know if it's like a 60-41 or like a 55-45 situation, but man, if the Clarity Act gets passed, probably going to see bullish market again. I think it's what one thing that
I
everyone's
don't
been
know. We've
waiting
had
for.
so much bullish news from the government front. You think this will be like the actual turning the corner?
Yeah, I think this and like obviously the Iran war is both, but I think with the Clarity Act, that's the thing that everyone's been waiting on for like years at this point. It's like there's tons of poly market bets around it. Right, it takes both sides of the aisle to get it through. There's capital waiting. Granted, I don't think it's going to be like Clarity Act passed and all of a sudden there's like $1 trillion injected. But, you know, a lot of these institutions have their basically crypto products sitting on the sideline just waiting for this. And then they can begin kind of the next step. But I think it's more just like a narrative driver. Obviously, though, in crypto, a lot of times once the narrative's over, then the market tanks. So could be, I think, though, because we're kind of still in a bear market, that this is better good news that I think helps get Bitcoin to a higher place.
One more thing on the bull market and migrations, and you know, Jake said previously, Migrate Fund was created in the bear market. You know, we saw 7 straight months of red candles. Haven't seen a green candle in months. You know, you look at these valuations; they're down 99%. What happens when these things do go absolutely hypersonic, parabolic, and you know, you look back at some of these market caps from before when WIF was at 3 billion or 4 billion, and you're talking about migrating hundreds of millions of dollars in liquidity. Like, that is a scenario that some people might need to consider. And maybe it might not be hundreds of millions, but it could be tens and tens and tens of millions. And that was pretty common for some of these liquidity pools to be absolutely like maniacally high. And, you know, we're migrating rock bottom floors, rock bottom liquidities, and they're still in the millions of dollars. So, what do migrations look like at the height of a bull market? I'm not sure, but some of these teams could be taking home tens of millions of dollars to their team treasury just for launching a migration, and that's when it gets pretty crazy.
We launched on Solana. It was since we migrated the first non-team project. So when we did the Bonk Fund migrations in September, we've only seen red candles. This will probably be the for Solana specifically. This will probably be the first month we see a Solana green candle. And we've had 5 to 8 projects reach out, a lot of them being, you know, in the millions of dollars of market cap, some in the tens of millions, obviously some smaller ones as well. And the platform is still not public, unfortunately. But you think about it from Chris's perspective, if when Migrate Fund is permissionless and these teams have tens of or hundreds of millions of dollars of market cap or even billions, they want to migrate, they could just go to the site themselves and just initiate it within their own mechanisms. It doesn't have to have this like 2-3 week incubation period.
That is going to be crazy. Go ahead, Adam.
I just, you know, it's a hesitancy I have because, you know, then it could just get completely wild on the timeline, right? You know, basically vamping attacks on doing it in a migration. But to Jake's point or whatever, it's just some of these, my brain just immediately goes to BOEM, right? It's like the fattest, thickest liquidity pool like ever, right? And
that went to $1 billion in a week.
I mean, reference, just absolutely nuts. And I haven't even looked, but I know there are a bunch like this that launched kind of during the bull last cycle. And, you know, to think that you're the founder of that token, you're Dark Farms, and you could probably take home or at least control the supply of multiple millions of dollars, right? It's just, it seems, you know, and I know he's fine, but, you know, it's hard to pass up that kind of new control of supply. Like everybody needs more supply. Almost no teams have, most real launch projects don't have huge supply. So getting back some of the supply, obviously getting huge swaths of SOL back, is huge for fucking, I mean, most people are not billionaires. And I don't think Dark Farms, you know, this isn't fucking, he didn't make a shit ton of money, although he sells a lot of art. It's still not like, I mean, he might be a millionaire, but he's not like rolling.
And what's the
yeah.
attention look like for him when there's another migration? And
And bro, it's a day. I mean, right now, when was the last time you saw Bohm on I mean, I follow Dark Farms, right? But it's like, when was the last time you saw Bohm on the timeline? Zero.
Never.
There are literally thousands and thousands of holders who would be reactivated by a Bohm migration. It would come back, bro. It would dominate the timeline. Absolutely
100%.
fucking dominate the timeline. And, you know, everybody who's still holding Bohm would be like, holy shit, we're back. You know, it might run to fucking $5 billion. Who knows? Like, the market's ready for a run.
I mean, plus they'll have so much SOL that they can do some sort of buyback program or some sort of incentives and things of that nature. I mean, we're talking about orders of magnitude bigger liquidity pools. Like, things are beaten down. Like, this is, you see it on the timeline every week. This is the worst sentiment that we've seen crypto in a decade. This is, you know, every token is down 90% across the board. During even like a mini peak bull run that we had, it was not uncommon for the daily runner to go to 10, 20, 30 million. Now, like, the biggest migration teams are 70 million. That's like huge. But that was like the norm. So what does the norm look like in a pretty chaotic market? I mean, the S&P just continues to rip higher. The risk reward for crypto has never been better. There is going to be a rotation at some point. When that happens, I'm not sure. But when the average token is back to 20 or 30 million, 40 million, I mean, these migrations are going to go absolutely freaking crazy. So be prepared for all types of scenarios. But the future for this platform and migrations in general, it looks amazing.
Could not be more bullish on migrations, but exciting to say the least. As
get Brew up here. Brew, get up here.
We're going to be hanging out and building some cool things for Migrate Fund once we get all of these integrations in. Something I found interesting this morning: Coinbase bought and acquired Native Markets, which is the stablecoin issuer for Hyperliquid's USDH, and then they replaced USDH with USDC. This is totally one of these situations where it's like, if you can't beat them, buy them.
Yeah, that's actually, I like that acquisition. That's nice. Yeah.
And so now Hyperliquid's going to be just USDC again. I saw there was like an announcement by Brian basically saying we're unifying liquidity and fragmenting markets and stuff. But the real thing is they got beat and they have to come in and buy their way back with this market share.
Man, is there any, do we know how much he paid for that?
They didn't announce it. They will have to, though.
You know he overpaid, bro. That's like a massive. The Brian is fucking famous for fucking overpaying, man. I can't even imagine.
He can't really overpay. I mean, they own 5% of Circle. Is USDC up on the news? Did anyone check?
You mean Circle? Right?
No, I meant USDC.
USDC. It's at $1.01.
USDC is running, bro.
Yeah, USDC is up on the news. But see, finally, Coinbase is thinking like a elite operator. Yeah, you don't have to build everything in-house. You have a treasury. You're worth billions of dollars. You're looking to buy the competition. You're looking to buy out the best products, bring them in-house, and find the synergies that really make your business better. And for this, they said, that might be a pretty big competitor to USDC. We own a huge stake in USDC. We're going to buy it. We're going to shut it down. And we're going to replace it with USDC. It exponentially increases the surface area of USDC, and they don't have to worry about competition. It's a win for everyone.
Now tell me, is it, because I'm not familiar with this. So this was basically a company that created a stable coin only on Hyperliquid. Is that what's going on here?
So, yeah. So this is the Native Markets announcement. So Native Markets is selling the USDC or USDH rights. So basically they're selling the stablecoin rights. Native Markets is still going to be a company. They say Native Markets remains independent and is focused on its next chapter, but they basically sold the USDH rights, and then Coinbase is deprecating USDH and replacing it with USDC. It says today Coinbase announced its plan to expand in support of Hyperliquid by becoming the official treasury deployer of USDC as an aligned quote asset under AQAV2. Treasury deployers will share the vast majority of the reserve yield revenue on their Hyperliquid supply with the protocol. I wonder if also this has to do with like the Clarity Act, where the bank lobby basically, they call it a compromise. I guess it kind of is. Coinbase is not allowed to give native yield for deposits, but they can give native yield on transaction history. So like farming, right? So I wonder if this is kind of a workaround, where if they say, you know, we'll issue yield on deposits on Hyperliquid and not Coinbase. Maybe that's something in the language that they were thinking about, where it's, hey, it's on a decentralized exchange. Well, I don't know how decentralized Hyperliquid is, but it's on chain, right? It's on chain yield. Maybe that's different from what's in the Clarity Act.
And maybe that's why they didn't actually acquire the company, right? There's like this separation there somehow. I don't know. Obviously, they're deep in it. They know what they're doing. So that it would seem like something like that. Very interesting. Going to be excited to see how much they paid for this.
Yeah. And I mean, talk about like acquisitions and acquisition season and being an elite operator. You're always looking for someone that's going to threaten your business and maybe take away. And so to kind of tie back to Migrate Fund, I mean, if you're seeing an impact that Migrate's Fund is having and you think that that's going to accelerate, if I was a top tier operator, I would look to acquire something like that, shut down the rails out of my protocol, and have another year or two to build without another platform like that coming on board. So, I mean, anytime some sort of company is kind of threatening your main business model, you should either look for a way to compete. I don't think that anyone has the infrastructure and kind of the time to dedicate to compete, at least in the time that we have, to get more migrations put through the door, rather than to acquire it and maybe shut down the existing rails, like flowing outside of your platform. So
Yeah,
let me translate that for everybody. Brian, call up Jake. If you want shit coming to base, we're your best option. So Brian, phone line, Telegram is open, bro.
Once those floodgates open to a chain or out to a chain, and these things get much, much bigger, I mean, you're going to see some of these high level protocols and companies really get impacted because the liquidity is going to flow where it's treated best. That's monetary theory, and that's literally the business plan of Migrate Fund.
Yeah, I'm really surprised Solana hasn't supported us yet. It's really kind of crazy. They probably, I mean, at some point, I think it's really when Migrate Fund is permissionless and there'll be some sort of event where there's like 5 or 10 migrations in a single day, and it's just like all over the timeline. And that's when everyone's going to look at it and be like, oh, fuck. But the thing is, right, I mean, we're in contact with Base. We've told them about migrations. I don't know if they fully understand. We've talked with BNB Foundation about it as well. I don't think they fully understand. They will understand, though, when 10 projects are leaving their chain in a day, right? And at that point, if Migrate Fund's on chain, right? So it's not like we could shut it down, right? So once that starts flowing, it's not a centralized server that could be DDoSed. It's literally an on-chain protocol. And that's the position you want to be, is where these, whether it's a blockchain or a launchpad or whatever it is, saying, oh, fuck, what do we do?
I mean, I'm just waiting for Pavel, the call from Pavel, just be like, I get it. Let's bring everybody to Ton, man. Let's do this. Let's make Telegram the number one spot for meme coins. Bro, could you, I mean, something like that, you know, all it takes a phone call and a couple months of building. And, you know, bro, the amount of incentives that a chain could offer to projects to come over, rather than, I mean, look, Pump changed their incentive model, and everybody's like, okay, Pump it is, right? But imagine what a Binance could do, or obviously Pavel could do, to make this attractive to teams. It could be insane. So we'll hold that out there as we'll get that out there into the universe about the possibilities. We know it because we see it, but I don't think the chains actually understand what this is yet. And I think Bobo was kind of first through the door, so good on them for leading the charge. But there's no reason projects from other chains can't move wherever the fuck they want now. And the door's open. It's just a matter of who's going to step through.
There was a project today that reached out about migrating from Sol to Base. That was like the first one in a while I heard from that situation. Yeah, I mean, if you just focus on Pump, for an example, before we launched Migrate Fund, we even said it's all incentives and attention. The first 12 projects we migrated, actually, I'd say the first 16 were all to like Bonk Fund and Radium. And the main thing that everyone complained about was creator fees, creator rewards. A month later, Pump Fund announced their creator reward system, and it's complete 180. It was like 90% of the projects now to Pump Fund.
Yep.
So, you know, if I was an AMM operator, I would look at this and say, you know, what is the incentive I can offer people and teams to migrate to my ecosystem. Obviously, it's still kind of on a intra blockchain. Eventually, it'll be inter blockchain, right? Moving across chains, and that's when like the foundations and stuff could evolve. I mean, look at like how much attention and focus Solana Foundation and Tolly are putting on trading for Solana, right? Like you have literally Tolly reply guying people to get to use Phoenix Trade, right? Because they're like very hyper competitive for perps, right? And so they want the liquidity on their chain. And I'm sure the foundations, once you see a few $1 million of liquidity leaving your chain, probably permanently, it'll probably capture their eyes to say something.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes for tokens, it goes for meme coins, it goes for governance tokens, it goes for applications. Polymarket is considering a migration. How they can't fully migrate unless they migrate the actual token. You know what I mean? And so to these foundations and these high-level blockchains, it's more than just monetary gain. It's attention gain. It's user acquisition. It's marketing. It's all the above. So some of these things can't even be qualified in actual net dollars. So the value of a Polymarket moving to Solana is invaluable to Solana. How much would they pay to make that happen? It's like a number that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
If Kalshi is going to come more on chain, and they just chose to be maybe only Sol specific or whatever it might be and launch their token, what would Ethereum pay to get that kind of attention and that kind of marketing and community growth? So we saw the early innings of what the pioneers of blockchains wanted to be, in terms of when Novogratz had Luna, when SBF had Solana, when CZ had Binance, when Vitalik had Ethereum, and they were these monolithic figureheads that were almost bigger than life at that point in time. If you wanted to be the biggest future trillionaire, it looked like you were going to have your own chain. I still think that that's kind of the case. And how much are you going to pay to have all the best applications to make sure that your chain is dominant? It's a number that's unimaginable. So migrations will continue, and they're only going to get bigger from here.
Man, bullish as fuck. One other side note about migrations. I was watching a YouTube video, Spencer Cornelia. He's like I guess you'd say a crime investigator, right? He's kind of like a CoffeeZilla. He actually lives out here in Las Vegas. He actually DM'd me once when I was still doing my Vegas podcast about a alleged betting scammer named Mozzie VS, who I had on my show. But he did I guess it's called a video essay on Ben Pasternak for Believe.
Oh, is that the one you sent us yesterday?
That's the one I sent you guys. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he dove into, obviously there's like, I guess, relationship issues and abuse and stuff like that. But he started diving into the lawsuit from was it Berwick, right?
Berwick Law, yeah.
The one that's the crypto law firm that's never actually executed anything.
Yeah.
Besides just pushing a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Inside of that lawsuit against Believe app, the main claim is actually around the Believe migration and how they inflated the supply by 30%, but didn't account for the holders, and they basically diluted everyone by 30%. And that's like one of the fraudulent claims that they had. And you could go back, I'd post about him saying that was a terrible idea. Well, first, it was a terrible migration for two things: is that he was diluting the supply and doing a penalty. It's like not a single person has an incentive to migrate at that point in time. You're literally, if you're diluting people, you're literally affecting every single holder, right? If you're diluting me by 30%, I'm just going to sell the token. Why the hell would I migrate into that? And then if you're going to penalize people for being late, now you're penalizing the people who missed the migration, right? So literally all 100% of people through the migration are impacted and losing something. So it's like, no wonder the thing just death spiraled 0. And I said that on the timeline, but migrations now even becoming part of lawsuits. So you got to make sure that you execute them properly.
I'm trying to remember. Did they do something else? What was it with like? Was it the market was trade? You couldn't trade it, or you could trade it, but it was at like a set price. They set the price or something.
It was pegged, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was a little shady. I'm not gonna lie.
So shady. I mean, just so much. Well, like, look, they when you've never done a migration and you're just like, let's do this. And it's like you come up with just the worst fucking ideas. We've had to talk people off the roof from fucking doing terrible ideas ourselves. I mean, dozens of times, well, we want to do 100% migration and make the migration 6 hours. It's like, no, you're not going to do that, because, bad actors are everywhere. But some are not bad actors. They're just doing what they think is going to work. And, you got to talk these guys off the ledge because it's, bad ideas are fucking everywhere. Never like to see anybody get sued, especially, I mean, a lot of this shit is just frivolous. Brunswick law, do I think that's frivolous? Probably. It's more about attention on the timeline. I honestly, I don't get those guys. Like Brunswick law, they have the biggest fucking ones out there. Like, dude, just go after Google. Like, literally, I know people who've lost millions of dollars on scam Google links. Just go after the big dogs.
I mean, this is all marketing for him. Everyone knows his name in crypto. What's his deal flow look like just from every class action he dropped, even if it gets no traction, the timeline goes crazy. It's millions and millions of dollars in marketing spend for free. Just thinking back to everything that we've learned from Migrate Fund over the course of the last year from when we started and how much a new team would need to learn firsthand by going through each and every process of almost 100 teams migrating. It's almost irreplicable at this time. Someone can build the protocol, someone can try and vibe code something, but you're not going to get to, migrations at scale like where we are. It's going to be extremely difficult to catch up. And man, I mean, there's so many edge cases. There's so many one-offs between these communities. There's so much hand-holding that goes into it. And, I'm just really proud of how far we've come and everything that we've learned along the way.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. One of the teams that we were talking with yesterday, I've noticed that, the larger teams that come in, they become more demanding, more questions, the more kind of chest pounding, right? I'm the best, blah, 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 bow down to me kind of situation. They're basically, they approach you for a migration and then they basically want you to convince them. But then they also want, these XYZ things. And then one of the questions they said, well, why would I use your platform? I mean, we should go build our own. I said, you can try. Go ahead. Feel free.
Here are the 4 examples of teams that did it themselves. Good luck.
Well, if you think about the people who tried to do a migration, Believe app went out of business, Heaven went out of business, and Soar stopped after the first one.
Yep.
Right. So there's precedent of people trying to do migration protocols, and afterwards, the Soar team we had a close relationship with. They're actually one of the teams that had first reached out to us to do a migration for their own token, and then through the conversation, they thought that they could build their own and they were just like, bro, it's not the tech itself. It's the actual like management of the teams and communities. And that on Solana, you just have to assume that every single person is a new user because their blockchain comprehension is literally 0. I mean, even for the Bobo migration, of the 2,000 people who've migrated, we've probably got 200 or 300 DMs. And like half of those are people who just don't have Sol in their wallet. They didn't know that they needed gas fees. Like that's literally like half of the issues. But you have to go through one by one for these. Half the people don't know that if you're on a mobile device, you have to use the wallet app. Like people are trying to use like Safari to trade and stuff. Like just like these simple things that you literally just want to bang your head against the wall. I think is what makes it really, really, really difficult.
Yep. Very, very.
Well, to be honest, I would say it's kind of retarded that you cannot pay your gas fees in any token that has a liquidity pool on the chain.
Totally.
This is fucking stupid.
It's fucking stupid.
It's 2026, man. And I just want to go back a little. I would say Max Berwick, he has executed a lot of cool dance moves on the timeline. Do not forget about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, Google, like going after the big players can cost your life. Look at.
It's true. Adam's going to cost your life. You're not going to be able to.
That might be true. I'm not going on. No. I love Google. Sergey's the best. I love them, bro. Anytime I'm talking to my wife or whatever, and I just hold up my phone. I go, I love Google. I love Google. I love Apple. I love Apple.
But one last thing on Migrate Fund is, obviously I'm biased, but a team doing their own migration is extremely bearish. You have such like concentration of risk that communities do not want to experience. Millions of dollars in the hands of who knows what. You have a team that's not technology focused trying to build some type of technology when all they should be is focused on migrating their community. Community should be focused on their community. They should leave technology partners with handling the technology. And I mean, you know, some of these platforms would cost like $100,000 or $200,000 to build out, and then you still have to battle test it. You don't know what exploits might be out there, what vulnerabilities it might have, and so the service that we provide is unmatched and unparalleled. And if you see a team kind of trying to push forward with their own migration because they don't want to pay the fee, which is nominal to the benefits that the team gets at the end of the migration, it's a huge red flag. So always be wary of teams trying to conduct their own migrations.
We have precedent
we've seen a
there.
bunch
I
of
mean,
runs
look,
with that.
yeah. Also, too, if they do migration, then they just leave, right? I mean, I like the Slurf guys. They were one of the first people we talked with. I was actually looking at their stuff the other day. They're just MIA now, right? They had a gigantic liquidity pool. I'm glad they got to pay back a bunch of the people who had lost money and stuff, but they had promised a launch pad, and we were supposed to do like a pack with them. I think they ended up profiting like $1 million from that migration, and now they're just gone.
Right? After they paid back the $10 million, they paid back $10 million to their community that they locked in their LP, and then I think they walked away with $1 million plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's lots of risk. I think this is why Pump Fund has not tried to build their own. That was obviously like one of our fears. It's like, oh, what if these launch pads build their own? But it is just going through the process. It's way too rigorous.
Literally circle back to the Coinbase acquisition. When you're in a power position, you don't want to waste time building. You want to buy what's working and move on. Bring it in-house, integrate it in your system, shut down what you don't like and what you're not, you know, okay with competitive wise, and just go on with your day. There's so much risks of building your own, especially when you're a high level platform. You're going to face exploits, vulnerabilities, so much testing. Your audits are going to be through the roof, not only to mention the time to build the actual platform and work on the social experience. So when you're a power player, when you're an elite operator, you're looking to acquire what works, integrate it in your systems, and move on.
Yep. Yeah, Meteora built their own migration tool, and I don't think anyone else has used it ever since the Believe app.
I don't even remember that, man. Did they build their own migration?
Well, they built it for the Believe team, right?
Oh,
they built
that's
it
right.
for the Believe team.
It was internal to the Meteora DVC.
Yeah. Phantom put out a good post yesterday that I have here on the timeline, which best represents the market. It says millennial marketing team and then Gen Z social team, and the millennial marketing team. This is like totally Ethereum and Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
It says Solana is a high performance blockchain built for speed, scale, seamless user experience, designed to power the next generation of decentralized applications. Solana enables developers to create everything from global payment systems and financial platforms to game, social apps, and digital marketplaces, all with lightning fast transactions and low fees. And then it says, and then it has the Solana logo. This is Gen Z social team, and it's just Solana with a bunch of exclamation points, and then just like Solana memes.
Exactly.
And it took us a little bit to figure this out, but when we moved over, right, because Emblem's our parent company, so we started on Bitcoin, then we moved over to Ethereum, and then we moved over to Solana, and it took a few months, but then it became very apparent that the majority of the people on Solana are Gen Z, right? And so you just have to assume these people came into crypto through a mobile device. They don't know anything about blockchain. They just know memes and they just want to make money. So you got to cater towards them. And I think that's why a lot of Ethereum people have really struggled to build on Solana, because Ethereum is very highly tech focused and driven, and there's a lot of ego, honestly, on Ethereum as well as there is on Bitcoin. I'm sure Solana will have this in the next few years as well, but you just got to be able to know who your users are. And Solana, it moves very fast, right? People complain about the price on Solana, how the price goes up and down so much fast, but that's because there's more transactions and the tension moves a lot faster. So you got to know your ecosystem. But if you're a builder, you should know that you always want to be where the young generation is, because that's where those are the people that are basically the kingmakers. They're deciding the culture. Yeah, they're deciding what's next, essentially, right? And so that's the smart people, smart builders across just human civilization. are always engaging with the younger generation, and that's Solana, and they're just going to continue to build it. I see a lot of people giving Tolly flack of saying that he let Solana become essentially like the meme coin gambling chain, but they're just basically now trying to turn that into the trading chain, right? The chain with the best trading experience. And so, yeah, the smart teams, no, granted, are meme coins good or bad for crypto? I don't really know. To me, it doesn't really matter. You just play what people are doing. It doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter.
It's part of a bigger cycle. So the first turning of any new technology, it takes 20 years to go from innovation and speculation until it becomes infrastructure, right? And what we're 17 years in now, so expect max circus, max carnival, right? And we're seeing it like anytime I hear about a new chain that has an insane amount of TPS, right? All I can think is about that now I can get raped 100 times faster or 50,000 times faster, right? We're in the end of the last of the first turning. If you look at the railway speculations or the tulip bubble, right? It's the same. Nice. When technology and innovation becomes infrastructure, right before that happens, everything goes completely bonkers because now the masses know, everybody want to speculate, everybody want to make fast money, but there's so many people at the table that it's very difficult to get a seat or even to get a bite. So the next couple of years, I think, is going to be very crucial and very exciting to see who's going to win the first step in the true infrastructure play for society.
Yeah, you hit a good point. We talk about this on the show a lot, but there was 3 dominant chains. Now there's 4, but they all have kind of a different focus, right? Bitcoin, obviously a little bit more boomer focused. They're just kind of the older generation. It's simple, easy to understand, simple in crypto terms, I guess, right? The name brand moves a lot slower with the blockchain, with the blocks being 10 minutes. So it's more catered towards kind of an older generation. Ethereum, right? It's the first smart contract platform, really dominated by like Gen X and millennials, like technical builders. Block speeds are 40 seconds, right? So it kind of fits into that kind of like mid-generation mold. And Ethereum's becoming now kind of like the Wall Street chain because you could build L2s and it's just a lot more customizable for enterprise. And then you have Solana, right? It's millennial kind of, or not millennial, it's Gen Z focused. It's individual unique apps, right? Like an app store. Tension chain, blocks are much faster. And right. And with youth, there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of shenanigans and wild shit that happens, but you know, to be said. And then recently you have really Hyperliquid, I would say is kind of like the 4th anointed chain. It's the financial, you know, the finance chain. Solana's trying to compete with that, but Hyperliquid's got a pretty good lead. I would say you're probably, you know, by the end of the first turning, as you say, you probably will have, you know, 6 or 7 chains that are really kind of like the main chains that are really focused on stuff. I do think like the era of generalization in crypto is completely over. From generalized L2s, generalized blockchains, generalized apps. You got to like niche down and really focus on a sector. Some of the other chains that may pop up, there's got to be a gaming chain at some point. Someone's got to take that. You know, who knows what that is? Is
XRP?
It
not for gaming, but in general. XRP. I can't cut them out. Those guys are insane.
What's going to be the agent chain, man? What's going to
be the agent chain? Right, that's possible.
I still need to know why XRP have a token and what's the use case.
Nobody knows, but it does.
The system works perfectly without the token.
Hey,
I don't understand it.
I mean, they've done something incredible. Adam knows. They've made it. They've reached escape velocity. XRP is going to be around forever. They've done it.
They've done it. It's amazing.
They basically just printed billions of dollars and figured it out. Just from being here from 2012, right? They're one of the first tokens on the scene, and they're kind of smart. They're just using their treasury now to just acquire things. And people know, because it's so heavily integrated into all these exchanges and stuff, there is like an actual bottom that it'll never like get to.
Yeah, they discovered the Ripple token. That was their their argument in court, that they discovered it. They didn't create it. It was discovered. Like
it's a commodity. I discovered
that's like when people say that, you know, Bitcoin, you know, Satoshi discovered Bitcoin. It's like, really? That's the way we're gonna frame discovered it. It was like a natural phenomenon that he uncovered. Bro,
You just found it in the ground. We found this Ripple.
in the
this
ground,
Ripple
bro.
spout. We started
I
pouring
love
these
that.
XRPs into the barrels.
I found these XRP
It's
and
like
lost in
discovering
Nabonia.
electricity.
One crazy thing on the generational gap and trajectory of the industry, crazy stat. Jake will have to correct me, and we'll have to check what it is for Uwu. But I believe that you said 80 or 90% of the Bobo migration was done using mobile. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Wow.
That is
That's
insane.
nuts.
So we weren't prepared for those numbers internally. I mean, obviously, everything works, but we didn't put that much emphasis and focus on mobile infrastructure. But just think of that. 80 to 90% of Bobo migrators did so via a mobile device. I mean, we know mobile is the future, and it's it's definitely the trajectory of the industry. Everything is going straight to your iPhone or your Android, but 80 to 90% today of Bobo migrators used mobile. Incredible stat. We'll have to check and see what it is for Uwu as well.
Yeah, I'm a total boomer. I just do everything on desktop for crypto.
I know, but we
Total
just
crypto boomer.
you see where it's going though. It's
Absolutely.
like we need to, when we design our stuff now, it just has to be mobile first. It's just no other way. It just has to work on the phone.
Or it just has to work on the X timeline, baby.
Let's
When
go.
we go, Chris, when are we going to get the Migrate Fund integration for Emblem Agent so I could ping them?
Well, we've got some automations going through right now that are in testing that we have to polish. And then I believe up next, we're going to be integrating Migrate Fund APIs into the X agent. And then hopefully before the bull market really gets going, you'll see a lot of migrations happening directly on the timeline. You'll see tokens being migrated directly on the timeline, all from a simple post. So the next few months are going to get crazy. The attention that migrations get already are pretty nuts, but what happens when your biggest holder migrates, $400,000 of X token directly on the timeline? That shit is going to go bonkers.
So I'll be able to just say, hey, Emblem Agent, buy me $100 of Bobo and migrate it for me.
Yep. And you'll be able to say, you'll be able to deposit your previous held tokens, your stack into your account that's linked to your X account. And you'll be able to say, Emblem Agent, migrate my full Uwu stack, and boom, one post and you're done. It'll post out the confirmation and the SoulScan ID under your tweet, and the attention from that shit is going to go bonkers.
Awesome.
Bullish.
I think Elon is clapping in his tiny little fat hands right now. Like his trajectory for X is what 50% of all financial shit should go through X in the next couple of years, right?
I created my Twitter account in 2009, and I've been a Twitter bull ever since. Instagram popped up, and I was like, Twitter is way better than this. Like I always saw this. I saw the vision forever.
Same.
But Instagram is for girls, right?
You can't replicate X. It has all the biggest world leaders that have had accounts for over a decade now. It's literally the world town hall. And what he's really done recently with the translations on the timeline, so cultures can communicate between across language barriers, is insane. And so no one's doing more for kind of just like a real global conversational app like X has. So I mean, you have to love what Elon's doing. It's truly amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Like it's a good product. And I think the name is very fitting for like a social media app in like a dystopian futuristic society.
your X profile,
the-
your X profile is
just
going to
the
be a
X-
passport to space.
Go ahead.
So your X
Sorry.
profile is going to be your passport to space. If SpaceX is the way to travel, interstellarly, obviously it owns X, right? So that's going to be kind of your identity, whatever is here. So if you're bullish on space travel, I would also be bullish on X platform.
Like we all hear every day,
Yeah,
at least a couple of hours, right?
Man,
Wow.
this
More
is
than
like, it's like, especially if you're a startup, like this is the office. It's like if you don't show up on the timeline, you didn't show up to the office today. Like, what are you doing? Where you at?
that. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. I'm gonna wrap it up here today. It was a good talk. Good to see you. Are you guys at 50% yet? Here, let me refresh. your page and
Almost.
see.
48.8, I think.
Are
Yeah.
you going to reach the magical 69 number? That's the only question on the timeline happening.
The only thing that matters.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Like we have seen a 60% price move today on the chart, so people are buying, people are migrating, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a steady but nice continuous flow of migration until the end.
Let's go. We got 8 days left of the migration. We've got about 50% locked up. That means 50% outstanding float, on the open market. Probably 10 or 20% it seems is lost based on the inflow of DMs that I've gotten and kind of the projections from, the deprecated website and kind of lost community members as it's a little bit older. Maybe you have 40% outstanding supply. Brew, what's your market cap estimation and projection at the close of migration? What do you think you'll be at?
At the close, I would say somewhere between 3 to, my bullish case is 5 million.
Let's go. I was feeling something.
Why so bearish, bro? Why so bearish, man?
690
Because-
Bro, the
because the
timeline
liquidity pool is
praying
rather
for
big.
something to run, bro. They want a 20 million runner, bro. Make it
I
happen.
mean, imagine the attention at at 10 mil, 12 mil. I mean, this can get bonkers. So
Can get
prayers up. I'd love to see the unicorns doing well, man. Unicorn mode.
Absolutely. Everyone enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. We'll be back Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. See you guys soon.